everyone, Miss Sims here. Today is a very special day because we actually have a guest artist who is speaking to us directly, answering some of your questions that a few of you answered from the Monday choice boards. And we get to really explore what it means to be an artist and learn more about someone whose whole job is to do art every single day. I'm gonna let Jen, our guest artist, go ahead and introduce herself.
Hey everyone, my name is Jen and your art teacher, Mrs. Sims, told me you guys were going to be learning about me and about my art and doing a lesson based on it.
So we won't be doing our Jen-inspired lessons until next week. This week's more just learning about Jen and what she does for artwork. So I'm going to let her go ahead and tell us a little bit more about herself before we get to all the questions.
I am based in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. I do a lot of watercolor galaxy art with these kind of really bright skies and the black and white line art for the landscape.
Jen, so I have a quick question for you. My question that I think the students would like to know is, how did you get started creating your artwork? How did you become an artist?
I actually studied art in college. I have a fine art degree in illustration.
So did you always do this type of art, or did it take you a while to figure it out?
Over the years of just exploring and trying different materials and different mediums, I found this love of combining ink and watercolor in this way.
From the questions that all of you asked, I chose one question per grade level. So for the kindergarten question, this comes from Lily. And Lily is wondering, how did you make it so the paper didn't get bumpy?
So I use, it's called cold press watercolor paper. So it's really absorbent. And so with the paint, it just absorbs into the paper and stays flat. With adding sort of the line art and the ink and the texture that I add in the mountains, I have these little pens that have these really fine tips on them. And same thing, everything absorbs into the paper.
Oh, okay, so that's kind of how we use that thick white paper that we call sulfite paper in art class. Our second question is from a first grader named Emily, and she's wondering, she says, how do you make the stars? Do you draw or paint them?
And that's a great question. So I draw them. These are the two materials that I use for my stars. This is a white gel pen, so it's kind of just like a regular ballpoint pen. The only difference is it's got white ink in it. And then these, which are white paint markers.
Do you always use one of those two pens?
I've always liked using both of these because it gives me the flexibility, with this one giving me kind of the bigger stars, and then I can add this in for sort of fine details, little stars.
What made you decide to use pens instead of using paints like you do your watercolors in the background?
I just choose to use these probably because I have them around. I have acrylic paint too, so I could try that out, but I've always just kind of liked the control that I get from using pens.
So the next question we have for you is from a second grader named Avery, and Avery is wondering why you always make the background like a nighttime sky, but you don't color the front.
Great question. So I really love bright colors and starry skies. When I was a kid, I used to go stargazing with my dad, and it's one of my favorite subjects to paint. I really like nature, so everything about being outdoors is what I like to capture in this. And so with the style of doing the dark sky with the black and white down here, I really like the contrast that it brings between them. So you get this sort of really nice bright pop of your colors, and then the clean black and white just kind of keeps it simple. That's how I've always thought about it. I mean, I don't know that I really had a plan when I started finding this style. I just sort of evolved naturally into it. When I was in college, I actually really liked just doing black and white art and no color at all. But part of me, I love bright colors. It just makes me feel fun and happy. And so I felt like I was missing something when I was only working in black and white. So I sort of meshed the two loves together to create this.
Our next question is from Lito in 3rd grade, and he is wondering, how many colors do you have to mix together to get the sky the right shades?
So it kind of depends on the pieces. I usually tend to use about 3 colors. Sometimes I'll use more, but so for this example again, we have kind of a teal color, we have a dark blue, and then we have a purple. So this one had 3 colors. I think I usually kind of stay in the 2 to 4 color range, but some pieces I will use a lot more. I have a bunch of different paint palettes with all kinds of different watercolor paints in them. And so I have a lot of different colors that I can use. So I usually just use them directly out of the tube or directly out of the pan, depending on the type of watercolor that they are. And I just pick 2 to 4 that I think will look nice together.
The next question for you is from a 4th grader named Amelia, and she is wondering what inspired you to choose this type of artwork?
Ever since I was little, I've always loved the outdoors. I've loved being outside, and that was always the subject that I loved to draw. I, as a kid, would always doodle mountains and trees and plants, and for some reason that was just always what I loved drawing. I think it's because I love being outside, so it was just something that came naturally to me and I wanted to incorporate into my art.
Do you ever draw other things other than the galaxy background with the mountains and the shapes in the front?
I have drawn lots of other things. I've done portraits of people, I've done houses, I've done all kinds of different art over the years, but this is the place that makes me feel the happiest in art, and I think art should be about what makes you happy and creating things that you love to make. So if there's a certain subject or thing that you really enjoy painting and drawing, I think it's worth exploring other things too, but finding that place that you love and finding that thing that you're the most passionate about, I think is what's so much fun about art. And for me, that's always been landscapes and nature and starry skies.
And our last question is from a 5th grader named Ben, who is wondering, how long does it normally take you to complete one piece of artwork?
That really depends on the size of the art. So I've got some that are super tiny, and so this one probably took me maybe 10 minutes to do. It's super little. Then we've got ones like this that probably took me maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And then we've got these, which this doesn't, I have to lean back to fit it in the frame. So this one took me several hours to do just because there was a lot more detail that went into this, and obviously this is a whole lot bigger. So when you put them next to each other, get a big size difference there.
Thank you so much for answering all of our questions. This has been so awesome to have a virtual guest artist, our first virtual guest artist, and we really appreciate everything.
I am so honored that your teacher, Miss Sims, would share my work with you guys and that you would want to learn about me and have these questions. And I hope the project is fun, and I hope you guys really enjoy creating something based on my work. So thanks, guys.
Okay, artists, before you go, we have a very quick little, just super small project. We're not going to get into any more of Jen's artwork today, but we are going to make her a thank you card. So please get out one piece of paper and some crayons or markers or something to color with. Go ahead and pause the video and come back when you're ready. So you're going to get your piece of paper out, and we are going to fold that piece of paper really nicely in half so that we can make a card. So for your card, you're going to decorate the front any way you want. It doesn't matter if it goes up and down or side to side. It doesn't matter how you decorate it. Mine's a picture of Jen and I looking at the stars outside, but this is totally up to you. Make sure you do your best effort and go ahead and pause till you're ready to work on the inside of your card. Now that you're ready to work on the inside of your card, we are going to write Jen a really nice note. So we're all going to start the same way on our card. At the top, you're going to write Dear Jen. So that's capital D, E, A, R, space, capital J, E, N, and then a comma at the end. Everyone is going to write at least 2 sentences to thank Jen for her time. So if you're not sure where to start, a really easy sentence to start with is thank you for, and then say something you're thankful for. I said thank you for teaching me about your artwork. Remember that we're making 2 sentences though, so once you're done with your first sentence, you are going to write another sentence that maybe is a little more specific. Tell her something that you really liked. So I put, I really liked when you told us how to make the stars because I didn't know that she used marker instead of paint, and that was an awesome question. Once you're done writing, you can have more than 2 sentences if you want, and don't worry about your spelling, just try your best. You're going to write your name at the bottom. I put Sincerely Miss Sims, but you can write love and your name, however you want to sign off, and that is your finished card. Once you're finished with this, you're going to want to keep this in a super safe spot, so that way for the next supply distribution, the last Thursday before school, you are actually going to drop this off. So when you pick up your supplies, you're going to hand the people your card. They're going to keep all the cards together and give me a big pile of all the cards that get turned in, and I'm going to send them in one nice package to Jen all the way in Maryland, so she knows how thankful we are that she really worked with us and was our first virtual guest artist. I hope you had fun learning about her, and I can't wait to start our project inspired by her artwork next week. Until then, I'll see you later.